to the next EMEA vBrownbag with myself, Greg Robertson. On tonight's vBrownbag is Manfred Hofer, who's going to be doing Objective 7 of the VCP-NV. So, yep, we'll be trying to break down Objective 7 of the blueprint, going through all of that. I think, as far as I can remember, there's only 9, and this is actually coming after Objective 8. So, well, this one's after, I know 9's going to be after 8. I'm saying tonight's is after number 8. So it's around the wrong way. So hopefully, I think it finishes on 9, so we should only have one more, and then we've finished all of them, and then maybe we're going to try and get 1 or 2 people from the NSX team. I know 1 or 2 VCDX NVs / NSX ninjas, so hopefully we can get on 1 or 2 of them to also give us a little bit maybe more in-depth information. But yeah, that's up in the air at the moment. We might even go down the VCIX NV route. But yeah, I'll confirm that once we know. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you're on the call / webinar listening, then you can either write it in the question area or you can tweet it with hashtag vBrownbag. I'll be keeping an eye on Twitter, trying to get any questions that people may have. And yeah, if you have a question, I'll ask it to Manfred when there's an opportunity. I'm not going to disturb him while he's in his zone. And yeah, I think that's about it. If other people want to do any, come on, do a presentation, then you're more than welcome. It is a community thing, so yeah, no one's going to shout at you if you make a mistake. But we're always looking for presenters. We've obviously got the European one, well, Europe, Middle East, and Africa one, which is this one. We've got the US, we've got the Asia Pacific, and we've got Latin America. So if you can speak Spanish, then I'm sure the Latin American guys would love you on that. So yeah, if you want to do it, let us know. And apart from that, I think I've covered everything. Oh, and last but definitely not least, if you actually listen to us live, or I think actually maybe based on time zones you might as well fit it in, the vBrownbag end of year giveaway is still running. So if you go to professionalvmware.com, we're doing the end of year giveaway. And if you're based in the US, you can get some of the physical stuff. If you're based in the rest of the world, unfortunately at the moment it's only virtual stuff because of shipping, regulations, etc. But yeah, I think that's enough in the end waffle for me. So I'm going to hand over to Manfred, and then I was your Manfred. And yeah, thanks for agreeing to come on and do this for us.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. It's a pleasure to be on the vBrownbag.
That's good. I'll ask you that at the end of the hour. See if you agree. So.
Let's see how it went. So.
Sure,
okay.
Fine.
Can you see my screen?
I can. It's not in presentation mode. It's
okay.
fine if you don't want it in that, but I'm just saying. Okay, it is now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. We will cover today the VMware Certified Professional Network Virtualization Objective 7, which is configure and administer logical network security. First of all, I like to introduce myself. My name is Manfred Hofer, in short Fred. I'm working since 3 months at VMware as technical account manager. I have a lot of certifications, so I'm really certificate addicted. I was awarded the Expert and Cisco Champion this year. You can follow me on Twitter. It's @Fred_vbrain, and you can also check out my blog vbrain.info. So a short agenda for tonight. First of all, the first point is configure and administer logical and distributed firewall services. Here we'll speak about what is a logical firewall, what is a distributed firewall, how can I edit and delete firewall rules, how to configure rule components, what is the a difference between layer 2 and layer 3 rules, and what is SpoofGuard. And after this part, I will go into the configure and manage service composer, and there will also explain what is a service composer, what are security groups and policies, and why do you need a service composer. So first of all, let's take a short overview over the logical firewall services. In NSX, we have two firewall services. The first one is the Edge Firewall. The Edge Firewall is an appliance which is deployed through NSX Manager. It handles the north-south traffic, which is at the tenant or the data center parameter. It has services like firewalling, NAT, site-to-site, IPsec, VPN, tunnel, SSL VPN, and it comes in different flavors or sizes. I will handle that in a few seconds. And it's the same appliance which is used for the logical router, except that the internal interface rule works. The second firewall service is the distributed firewall, which handles the east-west traffic. It's an hypervisor kernel embedded firewalls. It is installed when you preparing the hosts to work with NSX. It has a scale-out architecture. That means if you need firewalling capacity, you can add more hosts. And it provides layer 2 and layer 2 to layer 4 stateful firewall services. So what is exactly the distributed firewall? It is enabled by default when you're preparing your hosts for working with NSX 6.x. It is installed by default, and it's enabled by default. It's a per VM VNIC enforcement, and it will create one instance of distributed firewall per VNIC. It protects the east and west traffic. You can create layer 2 and layer 3 rule sets. So what's different about the rule sets I will come in a second. It supports both virtual distributed switch and logical switches. If you don't want a distributed firewall or a VM handled by the distributed firewall, you can exclude it. Per default, NSX Manager, NSX controllers, and Edge service gateways are excluded, so you can't mess up when you configure something completely wrong. And the default rule is any allow. So any traffic to any VM is allowed per default. So let's take a look at the distributed firewall architecture. We have here three components, which is the vCenter, the NSX Manager, and the ESXi host. The vCenter is the so-called management plane. There you can create rules through the web client. You can there also edit rules and delete rules, etc. And you can use any vCenter container to be your source or destination. So you can, for example, choose a data center object, you can choose a complete cluster, you can choose a folder, you can choose a resource pool or logical switches, etc. The NSX Manager is our control plane. It receives the rules from the vCenter and stored it on a central database at the NSX Manager. And the NSX Manager pushes all the rules down to the ESX host. And there is the third component, the ESX host itself. It's data plane. It's there where actually the whole magic of work happens. And the ESX host also stores rule in a local database which can be found at this path. So why are the rules stored on the ESX side? Is for a simple reason. If your NSX Manager is going down for any reason, if you don't have this local database, no firewall rules will be enforced. So, distributed firewall policy rules. As I mentioned, there are two different kinds. There are layer 2 and layer 3/4 rules. Layer 2 you can find in the Ethernet tab, and the layer 3 rules you can find in the general tab. I don't know why we named it general and Ethernet. For me, it will be more clear to name it layer 2 or layer 3. But anyway, layer 2 rules are mapped to the layer 2 OSI model. There you can, in these rules, you can only use MAC address for source and destination, and only layer 2 protocols can be used in the service field. I will show afterwards a short demo how to configure these rules and where you can find all this field I mentioned here. If you don't use a layer 2 protocol, then you got this little red box when you try to publish the rule down the firewall, and it takes me quite a long time to figure out what this error message means to me. Layer 3 or layer 4 rules, they are mapped to the layer 3 or 4 OSI model. You can use their IP addresses and TCP UDP ports. And that's the most important thing, layer 2 rules are enforced before layer 3 rules. That means if the layer 2 default policy rule is modified to block, then all layer 3/4 traffic will be blocked as well by the distributed firewall. So if you block ICMP on layer 2, or if you block ping on layer 2, then it's also blocked on layer 3 and 4. You can also use, beside from MAC address and IP address, you can also use entity-based rules. You can use any vCenter object like data center, logical switch, etc. as a source and destination. If you will do that, VM tools must be installed on the guest. If you use only IP addresses, then VMware tools are not necessary, but I recommend to every customer that the customer should install VM tools. Another kind you can define your source and destination is by identity-based rules. If you would like to use this, you need to add a domain to the NSX manager, and if you do so, you can use users and groups from Active Directory in your source and destination. So I don't know how many network guys we have on the session, but this is how a normal rules processing order happens in NSX, and it's quite similar to a normal firewall. So layer 2 rules are always enforced before layer 3 and layer 4 rules, as I mentioned earlier. User-defined pre-rules have the highest priority and are enforced from top to bottom ordering. What is a user-defined pre-rules is a rule you defined in the distributed firewall user interface. Next is the auto-plump rules. So what is auto-plump rule? So when you deploy an H gateway and you, for example, configure DNS or DHCP on this H gateway, it will automatically create a rule for this service. So this is called auto-plump rules. After that, local rules defined on the NSX H gateway level are enforced. These are rules which are user controlled, so you created these rules. After that, all service composer rules are enforced, but there is also separate sections, and I'll tell you what a service composer is in a few seconds. And then after that, the default distributed firewall rule is enforced. And the default rule you can set to block or to accept. This is the only thing you can change in the default distributed firewall rule. Yeah, let's take a look how it looks like in a real environment. So I created here a small environment which consists of 3 nested ASXi hosts, and I run there, I think it's 4 virtual machines. All the 4 virtual machines are Windows 7 machines, but for testing purposes I called one clients, and the other one are the server VMs for me. When you look at the NSX level, I created also 2 logical switches, which are called client logical switch and server logical switch, and I put all my client VMs on the client switch and all the server VMs on the server switch. To configure the distributed firewall, you can go here, and here you have your layer 3, layer 4 rules, and here you have your Ethernet rules. Why do I have this separation? It's a colleague told me this. It's that if you have a person that is only familiar with firewalling and not the whole concept of virtualization, it will be easier for the person to create rules as he or she always done it, like on MAC address based, on port based, and on IP based. If you come from the virtualization side, you can use all your vCenter options in there. So it's from my perspective is easier to manage this, because I don't need to know which MAC address a VM should or must have. I don't need to know which IP a VM have, and if the IP is changed, which rules must are changed to be on a secure side. I created here a rule which will allow a ping from the client. I know it's an easy thing, but I have no SharePoint farm, I have no Exchange farm, so I can only show you this thing and show it that it's actually working. So I have here my client VM, which has an IP of 192.168.108.3, and the default gateway of 101.1, which is actually my edge device in this environment. And I have a server machine, which is the IP address 102.3. And I try now to ping this machine. Okay, that's the should work. So maybe I got okay. That's the problem. I've played before that. I've done the demo with the service composer, and apply. So you should see the pings starting in a few minutes, a few seconds, I hope. Okay, let's check the firewall again. Okay, this is disabled. Ping should work because it's allowed. Maybe there's a rule. There's also ping allowed on the edge device. Free. Let's check this one. Okay. Okay, that's bad. But the thing is, it's every time the same. I think I have there are some other rules which will interfere with that. I will check the edge device. Being previous accepted. So this everything accepted and default is denied. So it should work because there is everything is accepted. So I really don't know why it don't work, but
the joys of NSX.
When I do my testing, everything works flawless, and then you got on the session and everything is destroyed. So I don't know, but it should work. It should work. I can't see any rule that is blocking the traffic. So yeah, let's check. Nope, there is allow. I don't know why it's not working. Because but yeah, that's a joy. It's the joy of the live demo.
Yep.
It's a 50-50. If it's a 50-50 chance that it works.
Yeah, it's always a gamble.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for that. So. So I hope the next demo will work. Oops. Yeah. So yeah, this happened all the time in demo environment. That if you need it, it won't work. So the next is the Edge Firewall. So the Edge Firewall is a small appliance which is deployed as a parameter firewall or as a tenant firewall. It has several services which you can configure in the Edge Firewall services. You can configure routing and NATing. You can configure firewalling. You can configure load balancing. You can configure layer 2 and layer 3 VPNs, IPsec and SSL VPNs. You can use a DHCP for all your interfaces, or all VMs you want to use DHCP. You can use DHCP relay, which is new with NSX 6.1, and here is the first hint for the VCP-NV. I'm not quite sure in which version the exam is. If the exam is in NSX 6.0, then DHCP relay is not supported and it won't work. But I don't know exactly. I checked it previously on Twitter. Some said the exam is based on 6.1. Some said the exam is based on 6.0. So I don't know. And what you can also define is the external or internal DNS server. So, and when you deploy the edge gateway, it comes in 4 flavors. It comes from compact, large, extra large, and quad large. And the differentiation is the vCPU it uses and the memory it uses. Edge firewall rules. When speaking of edge firewall rules, you're speaking of local rules because they are called local rules in an edge firewall. And rules are displayed and enforced in the following order. The first is the user-defined rules from the firewall UI, which is read-only, so you can define in your firewall user interface a rule, and you can apply this rule to one edge gateway, to all edge gateways, to a folder of edge gateways, whatever your needs are. Then the second are the auto-plump rules, which are also read-only. So as I mentioned before, these auto-plump rules are automatically created when you create or enable a service on the Edge gateway. And then there are user-defined rules which you configure from the NSX H Firewall UI. And I hope this demo will work, and I will show it in a couple of seconds. And then, last but not least, the default rule. And as I mentioned at the distributed firewall section, the default rule, you can only change the action, which is accept or block, and if you will lock all the access to the default rule. These are the two things you can change there. Only services defined with layer 3 protocols are supported in the Edge gateway. This is also good to know. It's also a hint for the VCP-NV. And masquerading is done via NAT rules. And when I first created an Edge device, I was searching for the masquerading, and I thought, oh man, where's the masquerading? I need to get my VMs out of this segment, but with the NATed IP address, and it took me some hours to figure out. Then I have to configure a NAT rule to do this masquerading. Yeah, SpoofGuard. I've never heard about SpoofGuard before. SpoofGuard is a technique to protect against IP spoofing. It's deactivated by default, so if you want to use this feature, you have to enable it. And it maintains a list of VM names and corresponding IP addresses. And these names and corresponding IP addresses are retrieved when the VM boots for the first time. And the most important thing, if you want to use SpoofGuard, VM tools need to be installed in the guest OS. Firewall logs. Yeah, that's one important thing of all firewalls. If something is not working, or if ports are blocked, or when you can't get your access to HTTP, HTTPS, I always looked into the logs and see, okay, it was at this rule level a block and at this rule level a block. My recommendation is to use a Syslog server because you got a lot of logs there. So that's my personal recommendation. I think when you read the NSX design guide, you will also find a recommendation from VMware to use a Syslog server. There are 3 different logs. The first is the rule message logs, which is on each ASX host, and it's under the VM kernel log. And this log and these logs includes all exit decision for each rule. So if it's blocked, accepted, from which rule, to which destination, etc. The second and the third log is the audit and the system event log, and you can find this log at the NSX manager level. You can go there when you log in through SSH, and you can run this command in the enable mode, which is show manager log, and you get all these logs. There is also a possibility. There is also a possibility to access the shell of the NSX manager, but I think it's only for technical support only. So I don't have the command and also not the password for this. But I heard that it's possible. And if you got shell access, you can go to /home/secure logs dsm.log, and there you can also find the exact same information of these 2 logs. Okay, let's check out the demo and hope it will work now. So what I've done previously, I created an edge gateway. To create an edge gateway, you can go to NSX Edges and click on the plus. Here you can define if it's an edge service gateway or a logical distributed router. It's the same appliance, but with the logical distributed router, all rules which are internal based are not working, so it's only routing. Here you can give the edge gateway a name, for example, vBrownbag, edge, and host name, for example, this is my edge 2. A tenant if this will be a multi-tenant environment. Here I can define my password and be sure you have a highly secure password because I think it must be a complex password with a minimum of 8 or 12 characters and must include an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and a special character. You can here also check if you would like to have access through SSH, and if you would like to enable high availability on this edge gateway. If you check this box, then 2 edge appliances are deployed. So here you can check the data center. In my case, I have only 1 data center. Here you can check the appliance size from compact large, extra large, and quad large. This only important when you have a very big environment where throughput is important. Here you can check where to put the edge appliance. In my case, is the management cluster. I use the management cluster for all my management devices, like the NSX controller, the NSX manager, vCenter for NSX, and also the edge and distributed router devices. Here I can check the data store, the host where we should deploy it, and maybe a folder. Click next. Here you can configure the interfaces, and you have the choice of an internal or an uplink. In my case, we can create an uplink. This uplink can be a logical switch or a standard port group if you have one, or a distributed port group. In my case, is a distributed port group, which is also the VM port group. I can also set here an IP address for this interface. Yeah, check OK. If I need external access through internet, I can here define my external gateway, which in my case is a hardware firewall appliance. And here you can also configure the default policy for this edge gateway. In my case, it would be logging, because I would like to log all what's going on in the edge device, and the default traffic policy is deny, because I'm very yeah. I've done a lot of security stuff in my former companies, so yeah. So after I click finish, the edge device is rolled out, but I think I can deploy this device because I have no resources in this cluster. So we can go straight to this edge device, and here you can see the settings, which consist of the complete configuration of the edge device. Here you can see the details, which sizes is deployed, if I have Syslog servers configured, if DNS is configured, if DHCP is configured, if some kind of IPsec VPN is configured, etc. All the stuff I talked before. Here you can define the external or maybe internal DNS server for this edge device. And here you can define more interfaces for this edge device. So I have created 2 additional interfaces, which are called client and server. So I can link the client logical switch and the server logical switch together to have a communication between these 2 entities. This has also been done if you used a logical distributed router, so you need no firewall between, so it's only for routing. You can also use the logical distributed router. Yeah, so here you can also create user-defined firewall rules. You see at the top you see a type called pre-rules. A pre-rules that I can show you here is coming from the firewall user interface. No. I love demos. Okay, I will show you here. I created here a group, a section, which is called edge, and in this edge I created a rule which should apply to this specific edge device, and this is the rule you see in the firewall here. The firewall, the DHCP, and the DNS rule are all rules which are called auto-plump rules. So when you configure DNS or DHCP, these rules are automatically set. User rule are all rules a user or administrator is configuring. So I can here set plus. Create a rule, for example, HTTPS, HTTP. My source. You can here check all kind of sources like cluster, data center, distributed port groups, IP sets, logical switches, etc., etc. So you can create for a single virtual machine a rule, for example, workstation 701. And the destination is my server on the other side. And then I can, for example, HTTP. Okay, here you see a lot of pre-configured groups. And I check HTTP, and in my case, there should be a block, a deny. So you see, it's on number 2. When I refresh this user interface, it will move. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, that's the joy of a live demo. Add below. Okay, I forgot to publish the rules, so yeah, okay. No, I forgot to publish the rule, but when I publish the rule, then you have seen that the rule will go down, because down here are the user rules. So yeah. A second demo is for the spoof guard, which can be found here. There is already a default policy, but you can also create your own spoof guard policy. For example, a client. You can enable or disable this policy. I would like to disable it, because there might be some unpredicted features going on if I will enable it. but then you can automatic trust IP assignments on the first use. So IPs to VM are automatically approved. And then you can also specify where this spoof-guard policy should apply to, and you can select distributed ports, you can select legacy port groups, and you can select logical switch. So it's on the switch level. So Service Composer. Service Composer is one of the interesting things I saw in the last couple of weeks. So what is a Service Composer? A Service Composer helps you to provision and assign networks and security services to application in a virtual infrastructure. So in a Service Composer is a service group and a security group and a security policy. The security group is what you want to protect. For example, your virtual machines, your VNICs, your user identities, your security postures, etc. And the security policies is where you define how you want to protect it. So, for example, you can there define services like Firewall, antivirus, IPS, etc. A security group is a set of vCenter objects. So you can there define a cluster, virtual machines, VNICs, etc. And you can also there create criteria details, for example, computer OS names. So you can, for example, define a policy which will only apply to Windows 2008 server, or you can select security tags or complete entities, for example, a cluster. And you can define these policies as granular as your requirement is. Yeah. Security policies. When creating a security policy can consist of the following: endpoint services, data security, vulnerability management, and antivirus malware, and data loss prevention is something you get from a third-party vendor like Symantec or Trend Micro, and which will be integrated into the whole NSX stack. You can also there define distributed firewall rules, and you can also there define network introspections from VMware or partners. So if you have an IPS system from a specific partner, you can also include it in the security policy. A security policy can apply to one or more security groups, and you can also set a weight on the security policy, because multiple VMs can reside in two different security groups. So you need to define which security policy will take over another security policy. And if you have multiple security policy with similar content, you need to define which is applied first, or which is applied to the VMs in the security group. So let's check out if finally this will work. I hope, finger crossed. Here you have the Service Composer, and this is the landing page when you log in to the NSX and to the web client and click the Service Composer. What you can see here are all the security groups. I've created a client group, a server group, a Windows group, a quarantine group, and then I put in this group all my VMs or clusters or whatever I want in this group. For example, I created the client group. And when I edit the security group, I can define a dynamic membership. In my case, I create my criteria details are VM name, and the VM name starts with a W7. So all my W7 VMs are in this security group. I also created a quarantine group. Why should I use such group? For example, you can use the service composer to define, for example, when you have implemented a third-party antivirus vendor, you can define that when a scan is running on a security group, for example, the client security group, and there is a VM or more VMs with a virus, the service composer can move these VMs in a different security group, which have, for example, stricter policies than the previous group. So to get sure that this virus cannot done some bad thing to your environment, and it will be automatically moved there. And when the virus is cleaned, then the service composer will move it back to the security group where it belongs to. Here you can also create your security policies. I created here a security policy which only includes a distributed firewall rules, because I have no guest introspection service and I have no network introspection services. So I created only the firewall rules, which is blocking the ping. And the destination where I want to block the ping is, for example, the server security group. The source will be defined on the security group where I will apply the security policy. So here you see you have a security policy group. So when I cancel it and I go to the firewall, I can see under general my created security policy, which is not enabled because I pinned it not to another security group. And if I will do and apply this to a security group, come on. For example, I can apply it to the client group because I do not want the clients to ping my service. You can see here that my clients are associated with a security policy. If there would be also a guest introspection or network introspection policy in this security policy, I can see it here. And from the firewall perspective, it is now enabled. The source is the client security group, and yeah, it should now block the ping from the client to server, but it's already blocked and I don't know why, so never mind. Yeah, that's there are also security tags I forgot to mention. Security tags can be configured under the NSX manager itself. You can manage the security tags here. There are predefined security tags like antivirus, virus front, threat high. Here you can create your own tags and define what will happen with these tags. So when a virus is found or when an IPS, IDS intrusion is found, will you put these tags to a virtual machine and let the service composer to do something with this machine that has this specific tags. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm nearly by the end. These are the real good additional resources I used for the preparation for this session and for VCP-NV. The first is a VMware session which described the NSX distributed firewall in detail, and more in detail that I have done. There are also several blogs from Joseph Griffith and Brett Hadlon, which also describes it in a more deeper way. You can check out Rene van der Bedem, I hope I spelled it correctly, which created the NSX linkorama with really good stuff and resources and links to other bloggers and information around NSX. You have Paul McSherry blog, who created all the VCP-NV practice exams. You have Henny Michael, who created really cool NSX charts and flow diagrams. Anthony Burke created NSX Compendium, where you can go through all the features NSX have, like distributed firewalls, BootGuard, etc., etc. And there is also a really good site from Sebastian Braun. I hope this was also correct. And this post I used for my NSX troubleshooting, because I got in my testing environment some weird behaviors, and I used that to get a more detailed view on what is going on in this NSX environment. And what I also can recommend is the new NSX design guide, where you can find further information about distributed firewall, how rules works, how the ordering is working, how logical firewall is working, how to create an NSX environment, what do you need, what information do you need, etc. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope it was okay, and I hope you learned. You learned something, and yeah, I'm up to some questions.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, please write them in the question area or on Twitter with #vBrownbag, and I'll get them asked. Yeah.
If you have further questions apart from this vBrownbag session, you can follow me on Twitter and send me a tweet or send me an email or get in touch with me through my blog. So it's up to you.
Cool. If you can just remind everybody what your Twitter handle is again. I know you said it in the beginning, but just in case.
Yeah, sure. So my Twitter handle is so my Twitter handle is Fred_vBrain. So if you have further questions, then send me tweetos in your mail. If you want to send me an email, it's fred@vbrain.info. But you can also send me an email through my contact form on my blog.
Awesome.
I've done it, yeah.
With 5 minutes to spare. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So then it doesn't look like there's any questions, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, as Fred said, you can get a hold of him on on Twitter or through his website and through the email. And yeah, so next week we're kind of on holiday. We're actually a little bit on holiday. I was thinking at the beginning, so we're on holiday until the 6th of January. And yeah, it's actually Objective 6, the VCP-NV. So I was talking total rubbish in the beginning. So what we'll be doing is Objective 6 of the VCP-NV. It'll be done by Paul McSherry, who Fred actually mentioned his resources. So Paul will be covering Objective 6 on the 6th of January. And then yeah, that should cover every single objective. Lawrence Cohen actually did Objective 8 last week, so he's covered off the final objective. So, yeah, hopefully everybody can join within the new year and get onto that. And then, yeah, we'll be looking to try and get something new going out. So we haven't decided as yet, but possibly the VCI-NV. I know the VCP-6DT has just gone out. So, yep, if maybe we'll go through that. We haven't decided yet, to be honest. But yeah, we'll definitely keep everybody informed. Keep an eye on professionalvmware.com, and also follow us on Twitter at vBrownbag. And yeah, I think that covers everything. Thanks again for agreeing to come on, Manfred. As I said, it's not as scary. It's not as scary as you imagine. So it's quite easy going. And yeah, I'll try to get I'll encode it tonight, guys, and try and get it uploaded. But if you're watching the recording of this, then you obviously know that I encoded it and uploaded it. So yeah, thanks again. Hope everybody has a good evening and also a good Christmas and New Year's. And yeah, join us again in the new year. And also the USB brown bag is tomorrow if you're listening live, and the time frames, or time zones I should say, suit you. Yeah. Cheers everybody.